story of Noah's Ark is one of the most well-known and iconic tales from the Bible. We all know the basic details. God decided to wipe out humanity with a great flood due to the rampant wickedness and sin that had consumed the world. But Noah, a righteous man, was instructed by God to build a massive ark and gather 2 of every animal species. After 40 days and 40 nights of torrential rainfall, the entire world was submerged in water, and only Noah, his family, and the animals on the ark survived. However, the biblical account of Noah's Ark actually goes far beyond just the flood itself. There is a rich, complex, and often overlooked story that unfolds in the aftermath, as Noah and his family must adjust to this new, post-flood world. In this video, we will explore the untold story of Noah's Ark, beyond the flood, delving into the fascinating details, challenges, and divine providence that shaped the lives of Noah and his descendants in the years following the Great Deluge. As the floodwaters receded, the Bible tells us that the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, Genesis 8 verse 4. This was no small feat, considering the sheer size and weight of the ark, which was approximately 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high, according to the dimensions provided in the biblical account. Imagine the relief and joy that Noah and his family must have felt as the massive vessel finally came to a stop on solid ground, after enduring over a month adrift on the raging waters. They had survived the judgment of God, and now they could begin the process of rebuilding their lives. However, the challenges they faced were immense. One of the first major tasks that confronted Noah and his family was the care and management of all the animals that had been preserved on the ark. The Bible tells us that Noah took 2 of every kind of animal onto the ark, Genesis 6 verse 19, a staggering number of creatures to tend to, from ferocious predators to delicate, fragile species. Not only did Noah and his family have to provide food and water for all these animals, but they also had to find ways to contain them and prevent conflict or chaos breaking out on the ark. Imagine the logistical nightmare of housing lions, bears, and other dangerous animals alongside more docile creatures like sheep, cows, and chickens. It must have been an around-the-clock effort just to maintain order and ensure the survival of each and every species. And of course, there was the looming question of what to do with all the animal waste that was accumulating. The sheer volume of manure, urine, and other biological byproducts being produced on the ark must have been overwhelming. Noah and his family had to develop innovative ways to manage this waste and prevent disease or environmental contamination. Once the animals had been cared for and the ark had come to rest, Noah and his family then faced the daunting task of rebuilding civilization from scratch. The entire world as they knew it had been wiped out. Their homes, communities, cities, and infrastructure were all gone. They were the sole survivors, tasked with repopulating the earth and establishing a new social order. The first step was simply finding food and shelter. With all the vegetation destroyed by the flood, they would have had to forage and hunt for sustenance. Building new shelters and living spaces from whatever materials were available on Mount Ararat would have been crucial. Imagine the skill and ingenuity required to construct dwellings, tools, and other essential items, without the benefit of any pre-existing infrastructure or technology. Beyond that, Noah and his family would have had to figure out how to organize themselves socially and politically. With just 8 people left, they had to determine how to divide labor, delegate responsibilities, and make decisions for the good of the entire group. Establishing systems of government, law, and culture would have been essential to ensuring their long-term survival and success. Throughout all of these immense challenges, Noah and his family found strength and guidance in their unwavering faith in God. After the floodwaters had receded, the Bible tells us that God remembered Noah and made a solemn covenant with him, Genesis 8:1, 9:8-17. This covenant was a promise from God that he would never again destroy the earth with a flood, and that he would bless and protect Noah's descendants as they worked to repopulate the world. As a sign of this covenant, God placed a rainbow in the sky, declaring that it would serve as a reminder of his faithfulness and mercy. This divine promise must have been an incredible source of hope and encouragement for Noah and his family. After enduring the trauma and devastation of the flood, they now had the assurance that God would be with them, guiding and sustaining them as they embarked on the vital task of rebuilding civilization. The covenant reinforced God's love and care for Noah, and his desire to see humanity thrive and fulfill its God-given purpose. However, the post-flood era was not without its own unique challenges and conflicts. One of the most significant and controversial events was the curse of Ham, as described in Genesis chapter 9. According to the biblical account, Noah became intoxicated after planting a vineyard and passing out in his tent. His son Ham, upon discovering his father's nakedness, went and told his brothers Shem and Japheth. When Noah learned of this, he pronounced a curse upon Ham's son Canaan, declaring that he would be a servant of servants to his brothers, Genesis 9 verse 25. This event has been the source of much debate and controversy over the centuries. What exactly was Ham's offense, and why was the curse directed at his son Canaan rather than Ham himself? Some have interpreted it as a sexual sin, while others see it as a simple disrespect or violation of Noah's privacy. Regardless, the ramifications of this curse would have major implications for the future generations of Noah's family. It introduced a dynamic of hierarchy, servitude, and potential conflict that would play out in the centuries to come as Noah's descendants spread out and populated the earth. Another pivotal event in the post-flood era was the story of the Tower of Babel, as recorded in Genesis chapter 11. As Noah's family grew and multiplied, they began to migrate and settle in various regions. However, rather than spreading out as God had commanded, they decided to band together and build a massive tower in the land of Shinar. The motivation behind this tower building project seems to have been a desire for human unity, power, and self-aggrandizement. The biblical text states that the people said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." Genesis 11 verse 4. But God saw this collective human effort as an act of hubris and rebellion against his authority. So he intervened, confusing the people's languages so that they could no longer understand one another. This forced them to abandon the tower and scatter across the earth, fulfilling God's original command to fill and subdue the whole planet. The Tower of Babel event was a pivotal moment that shaped the course of human history in the aftermath of the flood. It demonstrated the ongoing human tendency towards pride, self-reliance, and the rejection of God's sovereign will. And it set the stage for the diversification of cultures, languages, and civilizations that would characterize the post-flood world. As a result of the confusion of languages at the Tower of Babel, Noah's descendants were forced to migrate and spread out across the globe. The Bible traces the lineages and dispersal of Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, as they each established their own distinct peoples, nations, and territories. This diaspora of humanity was a critical development in the post-flood era. It led to the gradual diversification of cultures, the emergence of new societies and kingdoms, and the expansion of human civilization into previously uninhabited regions. From the Middle East to Africa, Europe, and Asia, Noah's offspring laid the foundations for the world as we know it today. At the same time, this dispersal also sowed the seeds of conflict, rivalry, and division among the various groups. With different languages, customs, and beliefs, tensions and animosities often arose as these new civilizations interacted and competed for resources and power. The unity that had characterized the immediate post-flood world began to fragment, setting the stage for the complex, fractured global order that would emerge in the centuries to come. Through all of these dramatic events and challenges, Noah remained a central figure, serving as a patriarch, prophet, and spiritual guide for his expanding family. The Bible portrays him as a man of unwavering faith, steadfast obedience, and moral integrity, qualities that were essential for leading humanity through such a tumultuous transition. Even after the flood, Noah continued to receive divine revelations and instructions. He became an intercessor between God and his descendants, interpreting the Lord's will and communicating his commands. Noah's role as a conduit of God's wisdom and purposes would have been invaluable as his family grappled with the complexities of rebuilding civilization from scratch. Moreover, Noah's own life and experience provided a powerful example and testimony to the faithfulness of God. Having survived the cataclysmic judgment of the flood, Noah's very existence served as a living reminder of God's mercy, grace, and covenant love. His family could take heart in knowing that the same God who had saved Noah would continue to watch over and protect them as they ventured forth into the unknown. The story of Noah's Ark does not end with the receding of the floodwaters. Rather, it continues in the awe-inspiring and often overlooked account of how Noah and his family navigated the immense challenges of the post-flood world. From caring for the animals to rebuilding civilization, from navigating family conflicts to fulfilling God's divine purposes, this is a rich, complex narrative that holds profound lessons and insights for us even today. As we reflect on Noah's unwavering faith, his perseverance in the face of overwhelming obstacles, and the ways in which God's providence and plan unfolded in the aftermath of the Great Flood, we are reminded of the power of trusting in the Lord, even when the future seems uncertain and the obstacles loom large. The untold story of Noah's Ark, Beyond the Flood, is a testament to the steadfast, redemptive hand of our Creator, who guides and sustains His people through every trial and tribulation. May we, like Noah, find the courage and conviction to follow God's will, even when the path forward is shrouded in mystery. And may we draw strength from the knowledge that, no matter how tumultuous the world may become, our Heavenly Father remains faithful, guiding us to the promised land of His eternal kingdom.